what I wanted to say is on August 16, 2023, I signed papers with Harvey Smith. This was after 2 weeks of having to get the house approved so it can be collaborate or calibrated with the EE system that I intended to bring into the garage, fix up the garage so that it can be a wellness establishment. Um, I rented this house because it was away from everybody else. It would be able to be a peaceful, nice environment for people to come and heal themselves. So on the 16th, I got a key, and Harvey told me that I can move in. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I don't need to move in right away. I'm under a time limit, but you need time to move out. He goes, well, we got that handled. I did not know his handling it was me. On the 18th of August, we moved the motorhome down because we had it all cleaned up, ready to go, to be put for sale out in the front yard of Harvey's land. We noticed on August 18th that there was something walking around in the rafters or somewhere. I hired a couple to come down here and start helping me clean Harvey's house because I had realized he hadn't moved out. His dishes, food, cookware, underwear were still here. Nothing was done. It was surface cleaned not too long before, but not detail cleaned. This is the time that Harvey told me. I asked if there was any critters up there walking around or a freaky ghost, and he said no. It's normal. He always has a reason. It's normal heat and cold expansion, and contraction in wood ceilings, movement noise. No critters. Now, if I would have known that there was critters in this house at that point when I was already fluctuating on if I was going to take this place, I would have backed out. That was a horrible ordeal. Um, this page shows that the house wasn't spotless. And I really believe when I was looking at that this down here is mice droppings. When we finally got around to cleaning his mother's desk, we found a desk full of mice droppings. This is why I decided to strip Harvey's mother's desk with degreaser and re-oil it all up, make it nice and sanitized and clean. The next occurrence that we found was the rat's nest that was in the back of the stove. Behind my hand, there was a nice little nest that Pat, Harvey's handyman, and I both found inside there, or we both saw it inside there. Pat asked me if I wanted to clean it out. I was like, not really, but I guess I will. Later on, I mean, it was horrible. I had people that were freaked out, left in the middle of the night because things were running around. Later, I had a member and her daughter come in and wrote that as a member of Heal Yourself Wellness, I enjoy the comfort of the EE system. I had to walk out after our session on Saturday in the lobby. On August 5th, 2024, and began visiting with Cheryl. I spotted a plump, scurry mouse within the vicinity. I came with my daughter, and this needs to be assessed before it escalates into a health concern. Next, we have August 23rd. I wrote Harvey saying that I ran the dishwasher 3 times. The soap dispenser would not open. I even tried to stop it mid-cycle and opened it by hand. And then I said I would look into it further. And the dryer wasn't drying. I said I'd look into that further. The fridge, oh, that fridge was just rattling around. It's broken inside. The door has none of the guardrail up to hold things in place. It's trash. And it rattled so loud. I had to get somebody in here to tighten whatever it was behind the refrigerator. It freezes on top and is warmer on bottom as well. Another thing I mentioned to Pat on November 3rd, that would be of 2024, that Pat was coming over to do some work, and I asked him about the sliders, if the sliders were going to get fixed, the door locks on the doors, because all of a sudden, once all this started happening after August, Harvey decided he would start fixing things. Um, Pat said that Harvey never told him to fix the sliders. Those still have not been fixed. The fan over the stove is not hooked up to ventilation. Now, you can say that that's not um, in renters laws, but it is in the house laws that you have to have a mechanical item um, that will move so much cubic feet per minute for habitability issues or reasons. Okay, that first packet goes over breach of contract from the start and mechanical ventilation issues that will lead into negligence. I figured I'd do the electrical by itself since it's such a big deal. On October 17th, 2023, my girl was vacuuming and the lights went out in the front room as well as a plug-in. Would not work. The breaker did not seem like it was tripped. None of them did. I went out there and checked. I did get panicky and tell Harvey, I need electricity. On the 18th, I also mentioned that it was also took out the porch light. On the 2nd, the EE system got set up. Now, anything and everything I complain about, Harvey twists around and blames me. There is no way my EE system could have taken his breaker out before my EE system was even hooked up. Pat did come out and checked out the breakers. Then he ordered some breakers and came back and replaced them at a later time. My energy in November 2023 was $96 and 824 kilowatts. I sent Pat a video on 12/4 of 2023 that explained that those machines out there only take the amount of electricity as a single light bulb. No matter what I told them or Harvey, they kept trying to blame my machines rather than taking on the responsibility that my machines, I put my whole life, I saved everything my whole life for, well, not for, but I sold my house to then buy because it saved my life, was blown up by his electricity, and he refused to admit it, refused to say sorry, refused to compensate, nothing. Oh boy, I knew I was in trouble. Right here we have straight from the EE system. Each unit accumulates 120 volts. September 12th, Pat writes, I hadn't noticed, one of the switches was broke in half, so that could have potentially caused a fire. You were awful. Okay. Okay. So one is a heat lamp, I think, but I don't know which flickers. November 20th, breaker to be fixed so machines don't get damaged again. Even though the power did go out again after he told me they didn't have to, which set me back for all my appointments that day, again, having to cancel people. Here it says on the November 20th, Harvey asked me to buy breakers for you. I am booked this evening, but is there a good evening to come by and install them? On September 8th, Pat tells me I am a little concerned that the switch may get hot and short if it's going on and off.
Yeah, that's no light bulb.
And I said, it's been doing this the whole time. I've been concerned too, but Harvey is not. September 20th, 2024. You should, is it just the bulb that's flickering, is what he's saying about the flickering? Well, it's a regular heat bulb. You should replace it and see if it stays on. I don't think they work like that, but I will go change it and see what happens tomorrow. Pat says, because if the bulb isn't bad, the fixture is, and that could be a fire hazard. Yes. August 20th, 2024, we were using the air conditioner and we noticed sparks coming out when the air conditioner came on of the thermostat. We had Pat come out and look at it. And this is the thermostat, or he asked me, is the thermostat working properly? I sent Harvey a text and he said he would replace the switches. I'm not really sure when I can get to it. He asked about the systems being off. We explained to him that something's going on with the systems. It's turning on, yet we have everything turned off on the thermostat. Pat says all I did was clean off the corrosion, so everything should work fine. On around October 6th, I mentioned to Harvey that it is not a bulb, it's a fire risk. I have mentioned to you and Pat several times over this year. Harvey's reasonings that he fabricated so many things. This is dated for June 5th. At the bottom, it says you tripped the breaker for the living room and the front porch lighting and couldn't reset on October 17th. My machines weren't even in. I had to send Pat out to troubleshoot and reset the breaker. Your equipment in the garage maxed out the garage breaker, and the damaged breaker replaced by Pat Levenhagen on November 16th, which is not true. Garage is on a 20 amp GFI breaker, which is your grounding. I paid $194 for new breakers, as if I should have been the one paying for it. I know I signed something saying I'm responsible for maintenance and upkeep, but all these things that were wrong with this place before should not be my responsibility. And it caused so much extra grief. So that's electricity diminished value. In March, I finally broke down. I just had enough. That's when things started changing after finding out he put a hold on my mail. And I sent Harvey a whole bunch of pictures showing the average value of a home in Cottage Grove. When I first moved here, I thought it was South Eugene area, which would have held a lot more rental value. Remember, the rent estimate on Zillow is $1,612. Now, to be fair, when I looked in March, it was at 18. Okay. Either way, I sent him 4 and 5 bedroom homes, nicer equipment and appliances that actually work and are not ran out, wore down, and not functioning correctly. When I sent those papers, Harvey twisted what I sent him. I never said anything about moving out. I was just telling him I'm paying too much for this place to deal with all the anguish that I dealt with so far. In February, Harvey wanted to move in with me because he broke up with his girlfriend. I said no, and he got very upset. This is his home. I started missing my mail, noticing it was missing. Around the 5th, Harvey called me, asking me what my plans were, if I was moving out or going to pay rent. I said, Harvey, I don't know where my mail is. I've been waiting for it to come. Don't know. He goes, well, you need to let me know what your plans are. Okay, so I sat outside waiting for the mail lady to come. No mail was showing up, so people weren't stealing it. I called around the 7th or 7th, I think. The post office said, why am I not getting any mail? They told me that, give it a couple days. The storm is causing some issues and whatnot. Okay. So I think the 10th it was, I went down there. I'm like, where's my mail? I have medications I need for my life. And they said, oh, Harvey put a hold on your mail. Well, I texted him. I go, hey, how come you held my mail? Only mine while traveling, not yours. So I went down to get proof. So I had the post office print out that Harvey put a hold on the mail. They told me then that it would have been very clear that it was a hold on the home, not the individual. Because not only did he lock me out of service here, and he did it for 30 days, he also admits on the same paper on the 11th that he had been forwarding his mail for 6 months. So why would he put a hold on my mail? After this, on the first wrongful eviction I got, he also threatened to do it again. Also, during the time they put a hold on my mail, denied me $7,000 of my money that he had no right to stop. My medication, he had no right to stop or delay. He's pushing me for rent. He also shut off my internet service. Now he's going to say, oh, read the contract, as he always does. But the contract doesn't trump law. It says in that contract that I got the internet. He told me personally, he gave me internet password, everything. He told me personally if I didn't change anything, I would get it free. I did not change a thing. He only retaliated, and he's tried to do it first in May, I believe it was, and then again August. And so he shut off my internet so I couldn't conduct business or do advertisement or anything like that. More attacks. I sold my house because I found an EE system that saved my life. I bought it, $50,000. Found a place to rent. Rented Harvey's home. Not knowing the area, paid too much. Okay, I ended up in a lease. Everything went wrong from the very start. From the mice, Harvey not moving out, rattling refrigerator, not draining drain, dishwasher not washing, soap dispenser not opening, dryer not drying, locks missing, whole mechanisms for the sliding glass doors, other doors won't let you out, trap you inside, all while having a fire risk. Has caused a lot of emotional stress and severe damage to my business reputation and abilities. It severely was hindered when all that extra that I had to do, being that I was under a time limit to say okay to send the calibrator in to set up my EE system and calibrate my whole system together. I had to be done and ready and say okay from September 5th to the last week of October, and anywhere in between he will show whatever his schedule is. Okay, so we were working hard to get that done. If it wasn't for Harvey not moving out, if it wasn't for Harvey's negligence and lack of care or taking care of his mom's house or his house, I would have been done in time. But because I had so much extra to do, because the attic is out in the room that I had to have all set up for the EE system, so we had to move all of Harvey's stuff, pack up his food, throw it away. We had to take off his garbage to the dump. He left me a full garbage can rotten out there. We had to pack up all of his dishware, his cookware, his gardening supplies, all that tools and everything, and move them up in the attic. This delayed me. I couldn't get my machines in October. Then finally, at the end of October, I told Harvey, I go, the electricity just went out. And the plug-in in the front room, which my girl plugged in to vacuum, took out the electricity in the front room. And the next day, the outside lights were out. And then my EE system was set up in the garage that we had fixed up November 2nd. and it was going for about a week. Yeah, I made pretty good money, about $900 that week. It was the first week. And then it blew up 2 of my machines. Um, this was detrimental for me. This was so much. Oh my goodness. And dealing with the mice still at this time, it was just like, if I would have known there was mice here, I wouldn't have even been in this situation. But okay, I need electricity. Harvey finally sent Pat out on the 20th to replace the breakers of November. December, I made some money. Not much because it was around Christmas time. Then January hit. I was running out of money by this time. I mean, it was September, October, November, December. Very little money was coming in. March, I was denied my income for over 30 days, 5,000 of it. Interfered with my contractual relationships, both private and business-wise. Then into June, with the first eviction, well, actually it was May 21st, he told me to take my business and get out. So at that point, I started packing up. Most all my business, except for the EE system, most of my home, even all my clothes, I had to drag clothes back in when I found out it was a wrongful eviction. So the whole month of June, I couldn't do any work. I was packing, May and June. And this was just after April. I had a place to go. I could have went. They were fine with my business and everything. He could have just let me leave the lease. But no, he told me, no, I can stay. I mean, I'm stuck in this lease longer. So then he started doing a whole bunch of things like saying he was going to come the first week of September to throw me out and never show up. Then the middle of September, he told me he was coming again. No specific date, just telling me that he only has to give me 24-hour notice. How can you run a business that you have to schedule people? Since June, my overnight stay business stopped. I could not have people in here. That's where most of my money came from. We have had members see mice, bringing her daughter over here, seeing mice. She almost pounced on it and got it. I was like, ooh, I'm sort of afraid of those things. The day we came for the inspection, Harvey was mad because the hearing was dismissed. He set up an appointment for 5 o'clock. I said, okay. He told me he meant no harm. I said, are you sure you don't mean no harm, Harvey? He said, I mean no harm. It's time to talk. I go, okay. So then he emailed me back saying he'd like to come at 1 o'clock. I said, no, Harvey. I have already had a member that I have had to reroute around your schedule. Enough. And she's a cancer patient. No, you cannot come at 1. We have an appointment at 5. He disregarded me, of course, and came at 1, making my members stay in their car and wait for him to leave into her session. Of course, he had no care or concern about that. So, yeah, I guess you could call that an illegal entry with Harvey coming without the time frame that he said. Harvey also sent 3 men out here to pick up the Suburban. These 3 men informed me that I was leaving, and they were very huffy about it. I had to run out and talk to them because I had no idea that they were even coming, and they were sitting out there picking up Harvey's stuff and car. I didn't know who they were at first. Ran out in the middle of a session to go take care of Harvey's people. This is not okay. To quickly go through evictions, in April I had a place lined up to go. I asked Harvey, do you want me to leave? This lease has caused nothing but problems. Do you want me to leave? I had a place. They were able to accept my EE system, and it would be approved by EE system. He said, no, as long as you're catching up, stay. Then the very next month, he goes, due to the difficulties of trying to run your business and live in my home, it would be best if you find another place. Then I'm freaking out, packing up all my stuff, and on the Friday the 14th, I get a mess of evictions. Just enough to make my heart sink. It's like, haven't I dealt with enough from you, Harvey? Please stop. I even asked him, please, why are you doing this to me? I'm a good person. Stop. Let me make my money and I can go. The evictions from the 14th. Then on the 16th, refurbished, notice, 10-day notice, 24-hour notice, sorry, 24-hour notice on 9/16. On September 20th, he's talking about a mess of stuff that's not quite true, talking about written permission, and I have proof on a lot of that stuff. He knew very well what I was doing. Oh, also on the 16th one, we have a fake court hearing paper filled out. It was delivered by a strange lady, this eviction notice, that refused to tell me who she was. Then delivered on Sunday, supposedly by a PI, we have an absolutely fake court document that has no case number, and there's no judge that signed it. The PI gave it to my neighbor lady, I believe, because it ended up in my mailbox. When I found it on Monday, I started freaking out until I figured out it was not valid. September 25th came the next one. These are like back to back. Owner's final position. The next one came 10/3, court appearance. Harvey. Okay, and then after he gave me all these notices of 24-hour notices, everything's out of order. He then, on the 27th of September, he gave me notice to vacate on a 30-day notice. No tenant cause termination came October 31st. October 31st also came a termination notice from Harvey. The other one came from Hutchins and Cox for non-payment of rent. 30-day notice came on October 31st for a 30-day termination notice for cause, which is filled with a bunch of falsities. Termination notice for non-payment of rent became November 6th. November 18th, the scheduled court date for 12/4. December 6th, Harvey's attorney writes me and says attached is another termination notice for non-payment of rent. Well, I informed Harvey on 9/12 and 9/20 that until the mice and the electricity and all the issues were remedied, I was stopping paying rent. I'm tired of him trying to force me out, having me packed up, not being able to function correctly because all my stuff is packed up. This is not what I rented this house to be, living out of boxes. Can't run my business fully because I'm living out of boxes. People don't want to make overnight stays with the threat of Harvey coming or mice running across their feet like one couple left. This is appalling. Instead of doing the right thing and negotiating me out of the lease back in June, or when he broke up with his girlfriend in early February, instead of trying to make me late again by putting a hold on my mail and trying to work me out that way, and then getting mad when he finally had the idea of, well, I could just go room with Cheryl, and Cheryl said no and denied him access to his house, then getting mad and all this up and down, back and forth. It has been too much. There is no way anyone could run a business with threats coming in constantly.